calling all my footy fans from all around the globe. Straight out of NYC, this is The Line Breaker. Yo, what's up? Welcome to The Line Breaker. My name is Pano.
I'm Demetri, aka Juicy.
And we are back with another episode. We're not just doing a recap of the Premier League where we just talk about the fixtures and go through it. What we decided to do is we decided to pick 3 leagues that we love watching, that we appreciate watching. And we also feel that these are the 3 best leagues in the world. And we're going to do recaps, major storylines with each league. And we just want to go through and see what all the drama is about for this next week. So, Demetri, off the bat, we got some good storylines here. You want to give me a sneak peek maybe as to one game that's really popping out for you?
I think a game that's popping out, very important. Both teams have been kind of shaky in the league, had some mixed results. And it's going to be a big match for both these teams because they're both in the top 6. And I think it's going to be crucial to Arsenal's title run. The match I'm highlighting is Arsenal versus Newcastle.
We're going to get to that. We're actually going to get to that real soon. I actually thought that Demetri was going to use another match. I have another match in mind because, for me, the Premier League doesn't matter too much. Am I right? But yeah, so I have a match in mind, but you know what? I'm going to let Demetri's shine right now because we got to talk to you about this next Premier League game week. So as we're speaking to you, it is Thursday, November 2nd. And there's some big storylines. We're 10 games in. So we have over a quarter of the season played. And as things stand, your top 6 are as follows. Tottenham with 26 points. Manchester City with 24 points. We have, Arsenal with 24 points as well. Liverpool with 23. Aston Villa with 22. And Newcastle with 17. So 4 points. I'm sorry. Am I looking at this right? Yeah. 3 points separate. 4 points separate first and fifth in the Premier League. So it's very tight. And luckily this week we have some games that are going to make things interesting. And we're going to start things off with the game that Demetri mentioned, Arsenal versus Newcastle. This is 2nd versus 6th. Now tell me, why are you so excited about this game?
Well, going into the game, I saw some things that popped out to me.
Let me hear. Come on, talk to me.
Arsenal hasn't been, they've taken care of business, but, the 2-2 draw to Chelsea is a little hiccup.
You could argue that they were lucky to get a draw.
I guess you could.
I got to give them some credit. Come on, it's been a rough year.
I guess you could, but Newcastle also, recent draw against Wolves in their most recent Premier League game, draw against West Ham. They beat Crystal Palace as well. So I feel like, both teams aren't going in with, top form, kind of iffy, and we could see a dicey game. It could go one way, could go the other. I wouldn't be surprised. But going into the game, just wanted to mention a few stats powered by FotMob.
Your boys.
Newcastle is tied for first in the Premier League with 2.6 goals per game with Aston Villa, if you can believe that or not.
I was very surprised to hear that stat. So Newcastle doesn't surprise me because they had that 8 or 9-0 game that they won against. Was it against Sheffield United? I think they beat them.
It had a bunch of different goal scorers too.
Yeah. So I want to say that was the game. So that doesn't surprise me, but I was surprised about Aston Villa. That one really shocked me. Look, either way, Newcastle is a team that we were kind of, I say we, it was mostly me, right? I was mostly bad-mouthing them in the beginning of the year when they weren't performing. But look, they've turned it around. They're back, right back in it. Mind you, okay, they're a little bit off the top. I'm sure that they're not really looking for title aspirations just yet, but they're playing very well. And, this is a huge match against Arsenal. I know that you mentioned Arsenal not playing so well this year, and I agree. I really don't think that Arsenal look like that invincible team that they were last year. But this is what scares me. And I've had other personalities or podcasters or YouTubers mention this in videos, especially when it comes to how Arsenal have been playing, and it's that although they don't seem to be playing well, they're scraping out results, and oftentimes that is the mark of champions, of winners, that even when you're not playing well, even when you don't deserve it, you figure out a way to win, and that's a mark of winners, and it pains me to say that. But that's the thing that's really making me nervous with Arsenal. But here is the thing. I think that this is going to be a tough game for Arsenal, and if Newcastle, and this is a big if Newcastle can sustain their press and keep the pressure up, like how they've been hounding teams, the classic Eddie Howe ball, just high press, the entire team working hard together, I think that Newcastle could get a result, if not all 3 points. But I'm leaning towards a scoring draw this game, because I'm looking at how Chelsea played against Arsenal, and Chelsea pressed the heck out of Arsenal when they played them. Not necessarily high, but more in a mid block, and it seemed like that press was really causing Arsenal issues. And so I think if Newcastle can sustain that press, if they could get on top of Arsenal from the get-go, I think that'll make them successful in this game. So I'm going to go with a score draw here.
So just wanted to add something.
I want to hear all your insights. You talk to me.
I wanted to add something. I already mentioned that Newcastle is tied for first with most goals per game in the Prem. Did you know they're ranked first with big chances created being 27? But this is where it gets interesting. Arsenal's ranked third in the Premier League with 2.3 goals scored per match. But they also have the most clean sheets in the competition with 5. Will Newcastle be able to break through Arsenal's lines? Or will Arsenal be able to contain Newcastle's scoring and put 1 or 2 in the back of their net to secure a win away from home?
You're asking me that question?
Yeah.
Well,
I know you said, but does it change your mind?
No, because, you hit me with some stats, and I'm going to hit you with some stats, because I know you're a big FOTMOB guy.
I also want to ask you another question.
This guy's interrupting me.
I want to ask you another question. Does your boy play, or is the suspension going through? There's no appeal?
Tonali?
Yeah.
He's donezo. Yeah, he's donezo for the year. So, yeah. That's a big part of about their press, right? You just hit me with some stats about Arsenal. I'm going to hit you with some stats about Newcastle. Newcastle is second so far this year for expected goals, and they are third for expected goals against. So Arsenal is second for expected goals against. But the way that I see it is there's not too much separating the defense of either of these teams. I think what is separating them is the goals, and also if you look at the expected goal differential, Newcastle is again second for expected goal differential, and Arsenal is third. That's why I think that this is going to be a cagey match. I think I'm sticking with the score draw, just because like that's where my head's going. I like it. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna keep the draw, despite the little details you gave me.
How many goals are we talking? 1-1, 2-2, 3-3?
So my brain tells me 1-1, but I don't know. My heart's telling me like 2-2, something like that. Maybe like a higher scoring draw, but I'm gonna go with 1-1.
Okay. Personally, I think it's gonna be. 2-2.
Oh, come on.
But I could see an Arsenal 3-2, because I feel like Newcastle just can't hold them off for too long if they're, giving up too many goals, which you mentioned.
That was boring. I was hoping you'd give me more.
I just hit you with straight facts.
You have been hitting me with straight facts. Okay, so we got that out of the way. That's a big showdown, and I feel like the thing that we've kind of neglected to talk about is this game is huge because, again, it's second versus sixth. Now, here are the ramifications of a game like this. You have City, and this is kind of, we're going to talk about this game after, but this is going to be an overarching theme for all the title contenders or like the top six. City is playing Bournemouth. We expect City to win this game just because, and we're going to go into that. We expect City to win this game. So you already go into these games expecting City to go from 24 points to 27 points, right?
I agree with that.
So Arsenal needs a win just to keep pace. A draw will put them 2 points behind. And a loss will be devastating for them. It'll be 3 points behind. So this is a big match for Arsenal in that they need to maintain themselves and they need to maintain their places in that top three. And for Newcastle, there's a little bit of a gap between them and Aston Villa for fifth. And as it's not 100% confirmed, but it seems to be the case that the fifth spot is more than likely also going to be a Champions League spot for England. So that fifth spot is also integral. So Newcastle right now is 5 points behind Aston Villa. They have Newcastle has 17 points. Aston Villa has 22 points. So a win for Newcastle will be massive for them because that could just edge them closer to Aston Villa, depending on what happens in the Villa game, of course. But they got to win this game to keep pace again. So if Newcastle wants to maintain their high European places, they need a win. If Arsenal wants to maintain being in and around, the title contention, they need to win this game. So this is a massive game for both teams. That is our 2 cents. I don't think you have anything more to say on this game, right?
No, I don't. But just hope my boy Saka scores.
Yeah, if he's healthy. He didn't look too healthy against Chelsea. So let's get these two games out of the way because these are we're gonna assume that they're gonna go this way games, right? So we have a City versus Bournemouth, which is 3rd versus 17th, and Liverpool versus Luton, which is 4th versus 18th. You gotta assume. I don't see anything here other than wins for both squads, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty comfortable game weeks for Man City and Liverpool.
That's another thing, too. Liverpool is also another game where you kind of assume that they win. So if Liverpool win, that puts them at 26 points. So if Arsenal don't win, they're going to drop. They're going to drop way down. City's going to win. Liverpool's going to win. That drops Arsenal to at least third. At least third. Mind you, at least third, depending on what happens with the Tottenham game. But we're gonna get to that later. So we're thinking at least third Arsenal could potentially drop to this week if they don't get a win versus Newcastle. So Man City and Liverpool, I don't even want to talk to. I mean, if you got some interesting tidbits, be my guest. But to me, I don't see anything other than Erling Haaland hat trick, double for Salah and Nunez, and we move on to the next day because Luton do not look like they belong in the league just yet, although they're a great story. They don't look like they belong in the Premier League. And same thing for Bournemouth. They are relegation candidates at the moment, Bournemouth. And City, as we said, although Demetri likes to joke around about how I just predict City to win every single week, that's kind of the whole point of Manchester City, right? They're so great that you expect them to win every week. And more often than not, almost always, 99% of the time, they win the games that you expect them to. Maybe not 99, maybe 90% of the time. And that's what makes them so great. They're so consistent. They win the games that you expect them to. So, I mean, I expect a win from City and Liverpool here. Do you think anything different? Do you have any interesting tidbits to give me?
No, I agree that they're both those teams are gonna have pretty comfortable wins this week. But what I do want to say is Neto, the goalkeeper for Bournemouth, is ranked second in saves per match with 4.6. Now, with that being said, I can see that number rising after this weekend due to the dominance and his goal being peppered by City's attackers. So he's gonna have 5 or more saves. Obviously, a couple are gonna slip by, but 5 or more saves for my boy Neto. I'm not gonna completely. I'm gonna highlight a little bright spot for Bournemouth.
Yeah, but I like to think though that if your goalie is high up in the stats for saves per game, that means that your defense isn't that great.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what that means.
Who's first? Or do you know? Do you not know?
In saves, I don't have that off the top of my head, but I could find that for you.
It's not a huge deal. Don't worry about it. It's okay. I'll find it.
But this isn't that crazy of a stat. Luton hasn't kept a clean sheet in 14 matches.
That doesn't
Their
surprise
last 14.
me. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Do you think Liverpool can continue the streak?
Obviously. 100%. Yeah. 100%. This Luton team barely looks like they could score, let alone win games. So yeah.
First place, I found it. Sheffield United, 5 saves a game.
That doesn't surprise me. Does that surprise you? The 20th place team, last place team? Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how much of a bright spark that is. So yeah. Okay, so we can kind of both agree Man City and Liverpool. Basically, we could just assume that they win those games. So again, huge ramifications for the title race for the Champions League places. All right. Let's move on. A team that we spoke about before. They're the highest scorers in the Premier League so far. Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest. This is the derby of European Cup winners. Yeah. Can't say so much about the first few teams we mentioned. Fun fact. Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest have 3 Champions Leagues between them. Aston Villa has 1 Champions League trophy. Nottingham Forest has 2. That's 3 more than Arsenal. So yeah, we move on from that. I mean, look, this is Villa 5th versus Forest 16th. I think this is going to be a trickier game than we expect. I think Villa's on a really hot run, but this is another team that I'm just like, they can't keep going.
I agree with you that Villa's on a hot run, but I have the stats to prove to you that this can keep going. They play Nottingham Forest well. So just want to mention to you, Nottingham Forest hasn't won a match in their last 6 matches and haven't won their last 4 home matches. To add to that, Aston Villa hasn't lost to Nottingham Forest in their last 6 matches, 4 wins and 2 draws. They play them well. They get the results.
Nottingham Forest is a tough team to come up against, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. It is Nottingham Forest is home?
Yes.
So look, it's a tough place to play. Nottingham Forest is a tough team to break down. I can see this is just feeling, right? With the defensive nature of Nottingham Forest, and I just law of averages, I think that Aston Villa are going to have to slow down eventually. I could see this either being a draw or a loss for Aston Villa. Because again, I know that Aston Villa is good, but I don't think they are as good as maybe their place tells them. Even though they're high scorers, even though they're playing very well, I think that they'll bottom out somewhere in between like 6th and 9th. I think is where they'll kind of wind up finishing.
I could see Aston Villa continuing their streak and winning. I mean, as I mentioned, they have Nottingham Forest hasn't won any of their last 6 matches. Have been in pretty terrible form. 2 matches ago, they drew with Luton 2-2. I don't know if you remember that game. And then the last match they had, they lost to Liverpool 3-0. But yeah, in all comps, Aston Villa in their last 5 games have 4 wins. I believe 3 wins and 1 draw in the Prem. Sorry, 2 wins and 1 draw. So they've been playing solid football. And as we mentioned, they score a ton of goals and they find the back of the net. And I feel like that can be an issue for Nottingham Forest.
Hey, you know what? I can see it. I'm going to go with my gut feeling prediction, right? And I'm going to go with a scoreless draw. I know, free scores, Aston Villa not scoring. I'm going to go with a scoreless draw here. Big points for Nottingham Forest in their quest to be safe and to not get relegated. So yeah. You have anything to add?
Yeah, 3-1 Aston Villa.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So we're going to round out our Premier League top 6 predictions, or not predictions, but just recap of, or I guess preview, I should say, of this week's upcoming matches with 1st versus 11th. We have Tottenham versus Chelsea. This is a massive game because 1, it's a London derby, and 2, this is a huge match for both teams. You could argue that it's a bigger match for Tottenham. I just think every match is big for Chelsea just because you're waiting to see when this team is going to wake up, if they ever do. But for Tottenham, this is a way for them to maintain their place at the top of the table. So just to remind everyone, Tottenham is in first place with 26 points. They're alone at the top of the table. So a win will keep them there. A draw will also, keep them level on points with most likely Manchester City, or if Arsenal wins. So with a draw, they will still maintain their place at the top of the table, or at least tied. Maybe not actually with a draw because goal differential, but they'll definitely be level on points. A loss will be catastrophic, or at least it'll put a dent in their hopes for sure, because a loss, you can assume that they'll at least be in second, because again, we're assuming that City is going to finish off Bournemouth and win the game. And a loss will also, again, if we're assuming that Liverpool are going to be Luton, a loss will put Tottenham level on points with Liverpool. So I know we're doing a lot of assumption, but I think with Liverpool and Man City, it's a safe assumption. For Chelsea, a little bit lower than them. They're on 12 points right now in 11th, but they're level on points with Wolves, Crystal Palace, Fulham, and they're 1 point behind Brentford with 13 points. They are 2 points behind West Ham, who's in 9th, and they are 3 points behind Manchester United, who is in 8th. So a win for Chelsea could put them ahead of Manchester United on goal differential, because United has a -5 goal differential. So it could put Chelsea into 8th place at best. This could be big for them because, this could be a great way for Chelsea to pick up some steam, pick up some momentum. Before I get into how I feel how this game is going to go, I want you to give me a little rundown. I want you to give me some nice tidbits, some Demetri's details,
Well, a few details I may add is that Ange has the boys playing some good footy. Great footy, if I may add. Unbeaten in their last 5 home games. First place in the Prem after losing their best player. Nobody really saw this. And Ange has the boys believing. Playing well, and the boys are believing in the system. And they're in first, playing great. Now Chelsea has been kind of sluggish, dropping games that they should be winning, missing big chances left and right, and going into Tottenham with a team that has the wins to back it up, the results, first place, the confidence is through the roof. It's going to be a tough task for Chelsea. And I have a question, not too sure about this, but just wanted to ask you your thoughts on Michael Oliver.
What about it? The ref?
Yeah, I believe he's set to ref that match.
It's not looking good, bruv.
Not looking good for
Chelsea. It ain't looking too good, bruv. But he's not bold, so bold referees usually hate Chelsea. So this is the only good thing. But Chelsea, look, obviously Chelsea have not had the best of seasons so far. That's an understatement, especially with the money that they've spent. Of course, again, it's very easy to criticize them with all the money that they've spent. But again, it's important to note that this team is massively underperforming all their metrics. Expected points, despite the up and down and everything, they still are expected, on expected points, they should be 6th. They're very good defensively. When looking at expected goals against, they are 4th, only behind City, Arsenal, and Newcastle. And where they also are pretty high up, or higher up, I should say. Actually, no, not so high up on expected goals, but they are first in the league for big chances missed. And I believe Nicholas Jackson is like top of the table for that as well, big chances missed. So they are creating chances. Their defense is solid, but they're just not putting away their chances. That's what it's coming down to, and that's what's keeping them, out of these losses, or out of these games that they should be winning. They had a phenomenal game against Arsenal, and Robert Sanchez was responsible for that complete just collapse at the end. His mishap passing it right to Declan Rice changed the whole game. They should have beat Arsenal. A lot of people are saying that they like this Chelsea team against more expansive teams because it seems like they have trouble beating the low block. I can see that, so I can see them giving Tottenham more trouble than they'd, give a team that's lower down on the table, because Tottenham are going to be more proactive. They're going to take the game to Chelsea. I'm still pretty hesitant about Chelsea, doing well in this game, especially with Mykhailo Mudryk most likely out, which means that Raheem Sterling is going to play this game, and Raheem Sterling is terrible. Seems like a great guy, but Raheem Sterling is one of the most underwhelming signings Chelsea have made. Waste of money, and waste of being a record earner at the club. So with Raheem Sterling in there doing nothing and running around like a headless chicken, and also walking on defense, and Tottenham being in full force playing well, I think that Tottenham are going to win this game. I'm going to go with 3-1. That's my prediction.
That's a pretty good scoreline. I could see that going down as well.
And I think that it'll come down to Tottenham. I don't even necessarily think that Tottenham will play well. I think that Chelsea will give them issues, but I think Tottenham are going to score the 3-4 chances that they have, and I think Chelsea are going to miss most of the chances that they have. Because I could see Chelsea being dangerous on the counter, but they have proven that they can't put away these chances. So I can see a 3-1 Tottenham win. It's not going to be like, Tottenham dominated Chelsea 3-1 win. The scoreline will flatter Tottenham, but at the end of the day, every scoreline where Chelsea loses, they flatter the other team, because they've won out of 10 matches. They have won the XG battle 9 times. So they've posted higher expected goals than their opposing team 9 times out of 10, Chelsea. And the only time that they lost was last week against Brentford, and that was basically because Brentford's last minute goal was like, it was like an open net, So I think that pushed the XG a lot higher. So you could argue that they have had the highest XG of all the games that they've played so far. So with that in mind, I'm not confident with this team putting away their chances. So I think they'll play well, but they won't get the W, and that's the most concerning thing about Chelsea for me this season.
Yeah, I don't think Tottenham's going to steamroll them. Like, if you watch the game, they're not going to like completely dominate them, but I think Tottenham at times will have spells of 5-10 minutes where they do look dominant, and you can kind of tell that the goal is coming. Now, if they get the goal or not, that's, if the chance is missed, if not. But I can see Tottenham having dominant spells throughout the game, possessing the ball, putting crosses in, the crowd's behind them, and Chelsea basically holding on to the score at the time. But overall, I do see Tottenham pulling away. And you know what? I'm going to add that third goal is going to come late. After the 70th minute, it's going to be 2-1. The third goal is going to go in, and then it's going to be, Ange's boys secure the win, comfortable now for the remainder of the game.
100%. That's exactly how I see it. Like cagey-ish affair, and just Tottenham put them away at the end when like Pochettino just goes like full on. So I'm glad that we're in agreement on this, or not glad, I guess. I kind of, maybe it's not so good that we're in agreement. You're a
closet Arsenal fan. You're kind of happy about it.
Okay, no, that's you. Well, no, an Arsenal fan would be upset because they don't want Tottenham winning. But here's a serious question, and I don't want you to give me the sarcastic Demetri answer where you hype things up. I want you to give me a serious answer. Do you think that Ange Postecoglou will actually keep this up and bring Tottenham like to by the end of the season competing for the title? I want you to be serious.
I mean, I did tell you earlier in the year when we were having conversations, I thought he was going to be the manager of the year. On paper, Arsenal and City, I feel like are better than his squad.
And Liverpool too, probably.
And Liverpool. To say he's competing for the title is still hard to tell. To be in top 4, I think is, I would say it's a for sure thing, but competing for the title is still very tough to say. I know it's a very neutral answer, but I'm gonna say no. I think the second half of the year it's gonna wear on his players.
If I'm being totally honest, I see them finishing around like 4th. I think that's where they'll wind up finishing. I think Liverpool is better than them. So that's kind of where I have them at. So yeah, I don't think that they're going to compete for the title. I think that eventually the fact that, they're just going to get found out right now, they're not playing the best. But at the end of the day, I don't think that they'll keep it up. But it's definitely a step in the right direction for them. So yeah, overall, like for Tottenham, I think that if they keep this up, this will be great for them, and it'll be great for them to maintain themselves in the title race, or at least just cement themselves in that top 4, top 5. For Chelsea, it's tough. This isn't a game that they're expected to win, but this would be a great way for them to kind of pick themselves back up and gain some momentum. But right now, I don't see where the goals are coming from this team. In this team, especially with the injuries, again, it's very easy to use excuses, but Chelsea do have the most injuries this season. They have huge players like Christopher Nkunku, Fofana, Mudryk can't seem to stay healthy. Romeo Lavia still has not played a minute because he's been injured. Ben Chilwell is out. Reece James is just forever injured. So you have tons of injuries in this team that are keeping players out. Players who are finding form like Carney Chukwuemeka. So overall, it's been a tough season for Chelsea. I can't see them getting back into it in this game, but I am seeing some better performances in the big games. So yeah, that kind of, I believe that. Do we have anything else to put on that? I think that might round us out for the Premier League, right?
I think that's all the big games I see.
So while Demitri's switching himself over to our next league, I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm going to remind you guys that we're not just robots. We don't just exist in the podcast realm. We're not just on podcasts. We are also on Instagram and we are on YouTube. So make sure to follow us on both. Follow us on Instagram at @thelinebreaker_. Like our posts, comment on our post, engage with us, ask us questions, tell us that your takes are terrible, tell us that you love our takes, whatever it is. We want to have discussions with you guys, and also subscribe to us on YouTube. You might even be listening to this on YouTube now. If you are, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you could always be notified when we are uploading content. Definitely subscribe to us again on YouTube. And of course, this is a podcast. We are on all your major podcast platforms. If you are on Apple Podcasts, I should say, make sure to follow/subscribe to us and give us a 5-star review. Okay, it is a huge help to us and it goes a long way. We don't ask for much, but please give us that 5-star review. It makes a world of a difference to us, and it helps us get better, and it helps us as a channel, as a show grow. You don't even have to necessarily write anything. You could just give us that 5-star review, but if you could write something, that's even better. Same thing when it comes to Spotify. Give us that 5-star review. It means a lot. And shoot us a follow on Spotify. Another thing that helps us a lot, downloading those episodes. Downloads are great for our metrics, so please download our podcast. Okay, of course, your device will always be set, or you could set it yourself so that it deletes podcasts after, maybe it's only the 5th most recent. So after that, it'll automatically delete it. But download totals are a huge help to us. So if you could also download the podcast, that will be a huge help to us. So yeah, please support us in any way you can with your 5-star reviews, your follows, your subscriptions, your likes and your comments, and just engage with us overall. We want to build a community here at the Linebreaker. We want to help build some Linebreakers here in our show, so please help us in any way that you can. And with that in mind, I've spoken enough that I've gotten Demetri to transition himself over to the next league that we're going to be talking about. What are we going to be talking about, Demetri?
We're going to be talking about La Liga.
Okay, yes. The second best league in the world, I have to say. We got La Liga. We have some interesting storylines. Of course, the one that pops out right is Girona. Girona being in second place. City Football Group owned Girona, by the way, might I add. So there's definitely some big stories here. How do you want to start things off how about this? Not even how do you want to start things off. Give me an update. How does the La Liga title race look right now?
The La Liga title race is actually quite tight. 4 points separate the top 4 clubs. First place being Real Madrid.
Jude.
And Belligol. Second is Girona, surprising.
City Football Group owned.
Third is Atleti, and fourth is Barcelona.
And fifth?
Fifth is Real Sociedad, but they have an interesting match that we'll touch on later.
All right, got it.
So to start off this Girona match, Girona is playing 11th place Osasuna.
This is a good time to mention that Demetri, a.k.a. Juicy, is our La Liga expert. EA La Liga. La Liga EA Sports. Our La Liga correspondent, Demetri.
So some stats that I will...
You don't have an accent, so it doesn't work.
Okay. So some stats that I will add to this Osasuna-Girona match is your boys from Girona are ranked second in La Liga with 2.3 goals a game. And they are away this match. They actually are ranked second away from home this season. Yes.
If you had a Spanish accent, it would still sound better, though.
I mean, I might be field side.
You might be a field side reporter. Okay, no. So I didn't actually have a point. Just go on.
But yeah, I think with Girona just playing good footy, you know,
this is second versus 11th, right?
Yeah, scoring a ton of goals. I mean, nobody really saw them. This is like kind of out of the blue, you know. Your usual suspects you would expect to be in the top 3, but Girona is cracking that. And they've been playing well both away and home. This game again is away, and I think they're going to be able to get the 3 points in this one.
Does Girona have any standout performers on their team, or is this more like a collective effort? What are you seeing from them? What's the difference? Why is Girona getting the points that they are? Who are the performers? Who are the keys to this team?
Well, one of their best performers this year has been Artem Dovbyk. He's got, I don't know if I'm
Ukrainian international, right?
I probably butchered that, but yeah.
Fun fact, I pointed this guy out to Demetri during Champions League qualifiers. I believe he was playing in Ukraine. The team that he was playing for, they played Aris. Remember I told you that this guy looks good?
No, I don't think they played Aris. I think they might have played Panathinaikos.
Oh, maybe that's who it was? Well, I remember seeing this guy, and I was like, yo, this guy's a good player.
Play on Dnipro 1.
That's who, it was Panathinaikos, right?
Yeah,
it was. And I remember telling you, this guy looks pretty good. He was dangerous. I think he might have even scored against Panatha, even though like Dnipro lost convincingly. This guy looked good, and it does not surprise me that a smart club like Girona, obviously being a City Football Group club, picked him up, saw value in him, and now he's performing. Does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, so he's been playing very, very well for the side. Pablo Torre, a young midfielder, has started 8 matches. Seems like he's getting consistent minutes. He's on loan from, you guessed it,
Manchester City?
No.
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I mean, look. Okay, yeah. Well, Girona's in Barcelona, right? Isn't Girona?
I think it's in the Catalan region.
Okay, they're Catalan.
But come on,
yeah.
a young Spanish midfielder?
What are you trying to? What do you mean?
Barca just pumps them out.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, Gavi. Don't tell me Pedri. He's not from your academy.
Just be like
he's not from your academy. He's Las Palmas.
Young talent.
He's not, bro. You guys gassed Pedri.
Young
you bought
talent.
him. You bought him.
Anyway, Girona's going to get the victory in this match and keep the pressure on Real Madrid's title race.
How far can Girona go?
It's another difficult question.
I feel like this isn't as extreme. No, this is more extreme than the Tottenham question that I asked you before. But I think this is still very valid because Girona finished 10th last year and they got promoted the year before. They were somewhere between like 10th and 13th, I think, last year. And they got promoted the year prior. They had just gotten promoted. Again, this is a team owned by City Football Group, the overarching company that owns Manchester City. So are we talking, do you think title challengers? Do you think top four, which means Champions League? Does that mean that now City Football Group is going to finally have two teams in the Champions League that they own? That's pretty big. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's tough to see them finishing in the top three with, you know, the three giants breathing down their neck and going to be around them the whole season. Do they have enough? I mean, let me see. They're 9 points clear of Real Sociedad right now, who's in 5th place. Are they able to play well and with that 9-point cushion stay ahead of Real Sociedad to finish in the top 4?
It's possible
for a Champions League spot, which would be a huge achievement for Girona in such a short time frame, being in the first division. I could see that, but contending for the title, I don't see them toppling Real Madrid.
It's important to note that they are, as Demetri said, like they are tied on points with Real Madrid with 28 points apiece. And first and fourth is separated by 4 points. So Barcelona has 24 points. So they're only 4 points off of Girona and Madrid right now. That's not a lot. That's, you know, they play Girona, they beat Girona, they play Madrid, they beat Madrid. You know, you're talking about 2 6-pointers right there, essentially. That ground could be made up very quickly. So it's, again, we're talking about another title race that's very, very tight. We had it in England, a tight title race. Even first and fifth, it was tight. La Liga, the same thing. 4 points separating first and fourth. So this is a very exciting year for title races.
I may add, Girona's also has tied for the most amount of goals with Atleti this year. So they do find the back of the net. They're not playing, you know, that defensive style of football where they're scoring one and then holding on to a result. They're going out there and bringing the game to a lot of these teams. And their only loss on the year came to Real Madrid when they lost 3-0. And they have the same record as Real Madrid. So that game was a 6-point swing.
They're also fourth in La Liga for expected goals. And they're also, let's see, well, they're a little bit lower for expected goals again. So maybe their defense is really where their weaknesses lie. And for expected points, they're fourth. So not a massive overperformance, really, especially when you take into account what's separating the top four. So they're in and around where they should be, essentially. It seems like defense is an issue for them, though. So that's definitely something to take into account because they are basically mid-table for expected goals against. So they have a huge overperformance right now for expected goals against. You know, being second, but I think this is them at 11th, I want to say. So that's a lot. That's a big difference right there. Yeah, 11th. Yep. So that's definitely a big difference. But, hey, they're getting the points. They're playing well. And if we're looking at just overall expected goals, I mean, you know, they don't have anybody in and around there, but they do have the players that are getting the job done. Alex Garcia, who's a big midfielder, was linked with lots of clubs during the summer, is high up for expected assists. He's a big player. So is Savio, who is on loan from Manchester City or Troyes.
Yeah, I believe it's the latter, the French team.
Yeah. Who's been playing phenomenal. He's been their other standout performer, Savio.
Also, I may add, he's actually third in La Liga in assists this year.
Yep, there you go. That's true. Oh, well, you mean Alex Garcia is?
No, Savio.
Is he? Oh, so is
Yep.
Alex Garcia, apparently.
Oh, they're tied?
It looks like they're tied.
Yep, they are. There's a few players with 4, but both of them are in there tied for third place.
Yeah, and then your our boy Artem Dovbik, he's 10th right now in the scoring charts in La Liga. But again, like, very good. They're playing well. So look, definitely a huge story, Girona. No matter how much you want to play it with the whole sports washing City Football Group thing, it's still a huge story. Such a small club to be playing well, but it comes down to how they are run at the top. And City Football Group is a well-oiled machine, elite level recruiting, elite level management, and they're winners at the end of the day. So this shouldn't shock too many people. So you said that you expect Girona to win this game, correct? So that's going to put pressure on Madrid and on Barcelona and on Atleti to maintain their standards too. Now, before I move on, do you have anything to add? I think we've covered a lot with this Girona team. It seems like we're all very, very high on them.
Yeah, we are very high. It's just can they hold on for the entire season to finish in a top 4 spot is probably the most realistic goal that should be set out for this team.
All right. So, mind you, Demetri and I's main bullet point for this was that this should be an easy game for Girona, and can Girona keep it up? I'm pretty sure we've spoken about them for like 15 minutes already. So clearly we have a lot to say about them. Who are we talking about next? You are taking the reins on this. Who are we talking about?
Well, we did mention them being in 5th place. Real Sociedad has a date with Barcelona this week.
Huge match.
Huge match. Barcelona is going to be away to Real Sociedad.
That's all you have to say.
You wanna take it away, or
you want me to talk? Okay. Well, Barcelona have a lot of injuries, but they're keeping it real in the Champions League. They're still playing well. To me, I think Sociedad are going to give them problems. I actually mentioned to you in our Champions League roundup for last week that I like the Sociedad team. They look good. They gave Atletico Madrid problems a couple weeks ago. I think that they're going to give Barcelona problems, but at the same time, I also think that Barcelona has a lot of firepower. Again, if we're talking about expected goals, you have Barcelona second. They're right up there. Sociedad a little bit less, but where Sociedad is a little bit even, or I should say not a little bit, but much, much weaker, is they are bottom third of the table when it comes to expected goals against. So I think this is what's going to let them down. They concede goals. They concede lots of goals. Stupid goals, basically, or I should say avoidable goals, are what let them down versus Madrid, and they let them back into the game when they were dominating. And I think that similar things are going to happen in this game. Of course, they're led by studs like Kubo, but at the same time, and also Oyarzabal, who, yes, I finally said that like decently correctly. That's nice, right? That's nice. And Takefusa Kubo, another baller, both high up in the charts for expected goals and expected goals against. But at the same time, you also have Oyarzabal, third right now in La Liga for goals. He's third right now for goals. Kubo is 7th right now for goals in La Liga. So they have 2 players in that top 10 for goals. So obviously they're scoring a lot. I think Barcelona comes away in this game winning the game, but it's going to be a high scoring affair. I could see it being like a 4-2.
Well, going off of what you said and Real Sociedad's defense being kind of shaky and giving up goals they shouldn't be giving up, Barcelona is actually ranked 3rd in La Liga in goals scored per match, and they're tied for first with the most clean sheets in the competition with 5. Now, I may add, little interesting nugget here between Real Sociedad and Barca. They have not drawn in any of their last 9 matches against each other, but this weekend it will change. It will be a 1-1 draw, and Barca will fall further from the title race, chasing Madrid.
Really? What makes you say that? I'm so curious. Because I feel like everything that we've just spoken about points to a Barcelona win.
At times this Barcelona team looks lost, shaky, and they're going up against a side that's been playing good soccer, and they have a couple players that are kind of bursting out onto the scene, as we've seen in the Champions League against Arsenal, and I just think Sociedad's playing great ball, and I don't think they're gonna lose. I don't think it'd be deserving of them to lose. I unless they play terribly, obviously, but I don't see that. I think they'll play up to par.
Barcelona is also second in the league for expected goals for goals against. And so, I mean, look, I don't see it. I think you're being a little harsh, but also I know you're a fan, so I know you like to be very not strict is the word, but you like to be a little bit more realistic, maybe a little bit more cautious, pragmatic, pessimistic when it comes to them. So I get why you're doing that. I gotta disagree. I see this being a high scoring win for Barcelona. I'm gonna maintain my 4-2. So yeah, that's and I use stats to prove it. I use the stats to prove it. So let's move on because I think Demetri doesn't want to talk about Barcelona anymore. Next match is going to be Atletico Madrid versus Las Palmas. 3rd versus 10th. I mean, I think this is going to be a walk in the park for Madrid, for Atletico Madrid. What are you thinking?
I can see that going down as well. Las Palmas doesn't score goals. They struggle to score. And, Atleti is ranked first. This is actually pretty interesting, safe to say, something to add. Atleti is ranked first in goals per match. Las Palmas is ranked last. So...
And they're also first for goals against.
Las Palmas?
No.
Atleti.
Atleti, yeah.
Are you sure?
They're second, my bad.
Behind Madrid, right?
Second behind Real. So first and second. Right? Yeah. First and second. That's a big deal. That's a big jump.
So, they defend well. They're putting a ton of goals. They're putting a ton of balls in the back of the net. And from what it seems like, Las Palmas, although they're in 10th, they're ranked last in goals per game. So they're getting away with tight victories. And I don't think they'll be able to keep up with this Atletico side who's going to put 1 or 2 by them early, and then, it's going to just keep on raining.
Mind you, Antoine Griezmann right now is actually second in the La Liga Golden Boot race with 7 goals. And Morata is 4th, not too far behind, with 6 goals. So Griezmann and Morata are both scoring right now, at a canter. Basically, they're scoring a lot of goals. So this is very good for this Atletico Madrid side. And assist-wise, you have Saul Niguez in fine form, finally, I don't want to say reinventing, but finally capturing his old form a few years ago when he was bad for a year. Then he went to Chelsea on loan. He kind of didn't do anything there, and then he came back. It seems like he's finding his form again. 4 assists so far this year. And again, the numbers are there to prove Antoine Griezmann is high up for expected goals. And also for expected assists, again, we see Saul Niguez up there in the top 10. So overall, this Atletico Madrid team is playing well, and they're exactly where they should be. They're 3rd place, and their expected points puts them at 3rd place. Fun fact, though, totally just noticed this now. On expected points, Barcelona should be first. Fun fact. That's a fun little tidbit right there.
I've seen it before. They just let you down.
All right, so we're going to count out Las Palmas. I believe they are from the Canary Islands. Is that where they're from? We're gonna count them out. So Atletico Madrid to beat Las Palmas to maintain their place in that high up part of the table. So that's that match. And finally, we have another easy match for this game, right? I mean, it's they are in the Canary Islands. I was right. That's a nice place to be. Last match for La Liga that we're going to be talking about is Real Madrid versus Rayo Vallecano. 1st versus 8th.
7th.
Footmob was wrong.
No, I'm on FOTMob, but they're 7th.
I don't know how I misread this. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can't read. That's possible. So we got first versus 7th. They're closer than I thought they would be. But Bellingham hat-trick, Bella goal hat-trick, and Teeter celebration.
Well, as I mentioned, when Barcelona was tied for first with the most clean sheets, Real's the other team with 5 clean sheets in the competition, tied for first. But Real Madrid has the leading goal scorer in La Liga with 10 goals, Jude Bellingham. And you know what? This game has a storyline written on it. You want me to give you a look into the future?
Go for it.
Rayo Vallecano's going to be playing very well. It's going to be a very cagey affair. Real's going to miss 1 or 2 big chances, in the first 50 minutes. It's going to be 1-1. 76th minute. Arm spread. Tap in Merchant.
There you go. So that's pretty easy. Yeah, so routine Real Madrid win. So sounds like the title race is going to stay tight for this week in La Liga. I don't really have too much more to say. It's Madrid, they're going to win and we're going to move on. Sounds good?
Yes.
Moving on to our final league that we're going to cover for the week because there's a lot of fun storylines. And we mean this with the utmost disrespect for the 2 other Big 5 leagues that we're not including in this episode. We're finishing things off with the German Bundesliga. Huge matches coming up this week. Bayer Leverkusen in first place right now in the Bundesliga. They are leading at the moment. They're leading the league at the moment. They are on 25 points right now. 25 points. Bayern Munich 2 points behind them with 23 points. VfB Stuttgart in third with 21 points. And Borussia Dortmund tied with them with 21 points. And then we have Rosenball Sport Leipzig, which is really just RB Leipzig, which is just Red Bull Leipzig because they needed to change the name as a loophole to actually be in professional German football. But that's a story for another day. So that's your top 5. We also have Hoffenheim in 6th with 18 points. The Bundesliga is shaping up to be super exciting this year. We have Bayer Leverkusen led by Xavi Alonso leading the way right now. But we are going to start with them because they are playing 6th place Hoffenheim. Hit me with some juicy details right now. What do you got for this match?
This match is going to be very exciting. Bayer Leverkusen is away to Hoffenheim, I may add. But it's just going to be flat out exciting. I think there will be a ton of goals in this game. Hoffenheim ranked 5th in the Bundesliga in goals. Bayer Leverkusen ranked 2nd. And I may add, they're scoring 3 goals a game. Also, Bayer Leverkusen is ranked second away from home this season. So they're playing well away from home. And Hoffenheim hasn't kept a clean sheet in the last 5 matches. So this game, you can expect a ton of goals. I can see it going back and forth. High-scoring game. And, Xabi Alonso has his boys playing well, too, I may add.
Florian Wirtz, bowler.
One of 3 Bundesliga teams undefeated in the league.
Obviously, the other one being Bayern Munich. He has Florian Wirtz, who came off an ACL injury from last year, or the year before, really, but, it usually takes a year. Florian Wirtz is high-flying again. The man is a baller. He's playing well in a more central attacking midfield / number 10 position, scoring and assisting. And they're scoring a lot of goals, and they're also not conceding too many. As Demetri said, they are high up in the table for goals against. They are 3rd to be exact, and they are 4th for expected goals against, which means that they're just about where they should be. Whereas Hoffenheim right now are overperforming in their goals against. Their expected goals against puts them at the bottom of the table. Not quite the bottom, but I believe it's like 16th It's very low, 15th, 14th, 15th, the lower third of the table for expected goals against. So I think that there's going to be goals in this game. I think Boniface, the Nigerian striker, another Nigerian striker to come out of nowhere and really cement himself as an elite level player, or just as a high, performing player. He's got 7 goals in 9 games right now, Victor Boniface. So he's playing well. Jonas Hoffmann, a free transfer from the summer, scoring 5 goals in 9 appearances. This Bayer Leverkusen team is balling out right now. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Of course, you got Florian Wirtz high up there in the assists. So is Jeremy Frimpong. And again, you got Boniface and Jonas Hoffmann. I love this Bayer Leverkusen team. They're fast. They play beautiful footy, but they also play quick. And they're a joy to watch. I think this is going to be a routine win for them against Hoffenheim.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be too overpowering. But it's going to be exciting. I'm going to say a 4-2. 4-2 Leverkusen win.
I like that. So that's going to cement them at the top of the table. They're going to stay there. They're going to stay there for at least this week. Let's move on. Next game. Come on. How can you not get excited about this game? We have Der Klassiker. Or Der Klassiker? I forget how you say it.
Isn't it Der Klassik?
Der Klassik. Or I thought it was Der Klassik. Maybe. You might be right. Or Der Klassiker? No, that doesn't sound right. It's one of those. I just ruined basically the build up to that, right? Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. So, huge game. I mean, I can only really see it going one way, though.
Even with a suspension to Joshua Kimmich?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Harry Kane. That's all I got to say to you. Harry Kane. He's going to be the difference in this game. He has made the Bundesliga look like the Farmers League that it has been tagged to be. He is a baller. Look, one of the greatest goal scorers of this generation. There we go, baby. As we're watching right now on ESPN, they're actually showing no joke. Der Klassiker. I was right. No joke. ESPN just popped up and it was a little build up to that match. It is Der Klassiker. I was right. It sounded funny, but yeah, that's it. So this is a sign. Harry Kane leading. No, actually, he's not the leading goal scorer. He's second right now. Stuttgart's de Guarassi is actually first, yes. But Thomas Tuchel has Harry Kane scoring for fun. He has Leroy Sané also scoring for fun. Kane with 12 goals, Sané with 9 goals. So this team is playing well, and they're scoring goals. I think that this can only go one way, personally, just because, again, although Dortmund is in fourth place, and they're not too far off. They're not too far off of Bayern Munich. Only how many points behind? 2 points behind. I only see it going one way. That's going to be a Bayern Munich win.
So you see Bayern continuing their streak because, they haven't lost to Dortmund in their last 10 matches. 9 wins and a draw. It doesn't seem like it's a rivalry anymore.
It is not ending this weekend, that's for sure. I'm super confident. It won't be a loss. Maybe it's a tie in the end, but I'm confident in a win.
Yeah, they just been steamrolling them, and I think Harry Kane, with the weapons he has around him, seems like he's comfortable.
Future Ballon d'Or winner.
Yes. Yeah, I can see them. I can see them coming away with a 3-1, 3-0 win.
All right, I like it. I think we can move on then. Next match. We got Stuttgart, 3rd place, versus Heidenheim, 13th place. Heidenheim, they're low on the table, 13th. Newly promoted. I don't think that this is, I don't think this game's going to be any different. Again, Stuttgart led by one of the leading goal scorer, or the leading goal scorer, Seru Guirassy right now, who's come up out of nowhere, 14 goals. And 1 assist in 8 matches. That's some total right there. That is some total. It is important to note that he is on a massive expected goals over performance right now. But hey, whatever. We move from there. But yeah, Stuttgart is looking good. When you look at metrics, they are, again, high up. They're third place for expected goals. They are second place for expected goals against with a good defense. And for expected points, it puts them at second. So they're just around where they should be. This team looks good. I think it's going to be a routine win for VfB Stuttgart. You got any interesting tidbits for me? Again, I'm not a big Bundesliga expert, but I want to get more into it.
Yeah, I could see Stuttgart winning. They won the last 2 matches against Heidenheim, and Heidenheim hasn't won a match in their last 5 matches, and it seems like Stuttgart scores pretty with ease. 3 goals a game, also tied for second place with Bayer Leverkusen. So I feel like it's going to be tough for Heidenheim to keep up with the firepower that Stuttgart possesses, and the leading goal scorer, I may add.
And that brings us to our final match that we're going to talk about. And this one's going to be a quick one again. We got RB Leipzig versus Mainz. Leipzig is 5th, while Mainz is last place. So, I mean, there's only one way that this is going. It's going to be an RB Leipzig win. Again, RB Leipzig led by Lois Openda, who is their leading goal scorer right now. They got him from Lyon, might I add. They got him from Lens, or Lens, as you like to call them. Good player. Again, 8 goals, playing well right now. 8 goals in 9 games. And their assist leader, but also he likes to chime in with the goals too. He's got 3 goals, 6 assists. Xavi Simons from the Barcelona Academy. Former Barcelona Academy. He's balling out right now. 6 assists. This RB Leipzig team is performing very well in the Champions League, and they're exciting in the Bundesliga too. So I see this as a routine win. Is that how you're looking at it?
Routine win with, I may add, a Xavi Simons goal.
And look, the expected goals puts them at 5th. Expected goals against puts them at 3rd. And for expected points, they are 5th. So they're performing where they should be, which again leads me to believe that they're going to pick up the points here. Mainz, again, is just about where they belong, honestly, in the end. They're a little bit better off than last when it comes to expected goals against, but expected goals, they are dead last. So it is not looking good right now for them at all. So when it comes to all of it, what am I looking at? What am I?
I got you.
Oh, Dimitri's trying to show me something.
I wasn't showing you anything.
You're not showing me anything?
No.
Okay. All right. So, all right, that's fine. So yeah, routine win. Now, what does this do to the table? Basically, this keeps Bayer Leverkusen at the top. This keeps Dortmund right hot on their trails. Dortmund's going to drop in this case. Dortmund's going to drop, and RB Leipzig is going to go into 4th. I think this is going to be an off year for Dortmund. I can see them finishing at best 4th. It's not looking too good for them right now, and it's looking great for the other clubs. So I think that this is going to help keep Leverkusen at the top. Now, before we end this episode, because we've been going on for a while, this is our longest episode by far. Ken, and I'm going to ask you this, just like I asked you about Girona, just like I asked you about Tottenham. Can Leverkusen keep it up?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so either. Bayern, they do like the City thing where like they're not that great for the first half and then somehow they find a way.
Yeah. They're just going to be winning games when it matters most.
Harry Kane is going to do well. You would expect Guarassi from Stuttgart. He's on a massive goal over performance right now, and it's the kind that he hasn't shown too much in his career to suggest that this is something that's going to keep up. Maybe it does, but I can see Stuttgart then like falling down a little bit once his goals dry up a little bit more. So with all that in mind, not being super high on Dortmund, I see this going with another Bayern Munich title this year. The Bundesliga continues its farmer status, although I still do like the Bundesliga. Okay, so Bayern Munich or Bayer Leverkusen are not going to keep it up. Do they finish in the Champions League places? Yeah, right. Yeah. Do they finish third or fourth or second? Where do you think?
Second.
I like that. That's fair. Okay. All right, so that concludes our preview, long preview. If you have stayed around this long to listen to this, power to you, okay? Because I could barely listen to myself for 5 minutes. So thank you for joining us here on this preview of this week's games. My name is Pano.
I'm Demetri, a.k.a. Juicy.
And we're out of here.